Well, I hope that you have be able to review part one and part two of our module one lectures for week one. And this is the part three where we are now going to focus on determinants of health and talk about food access and food choice factors that affect food access and food choice. So here are the learning objectives for part three. I expect you to be able to explain the determinants of health. Let's then discuss at least 5 components of the social determinants of health, and also be able to analyze the social, psychological, environmental factors that influence food choices, food behaviors, and food access within various community settings. All right. What are the factors that you know affect health? Your own personal life, if you should look closely. Are there things you do that promote your health and other things that compromise your health? So if we are all fair, we all know that by now. So again, we have discussed from the socio-ecological model, there are factors as personal factors and also things in the environment. So again, this is another way for us to go over the socio-ecological model. Similar concept is here. The book gave us a table here to again break it down based on biologic factors, lifestyle factors, and also the living conditions, social conditions, community conditions, and then the background conditions. So as you can see, the biologic factors, these are factors now we cannot modify. So they are more non-modifiable factors. A person's age can affect their health. As we age, our susceptibility to have conditions increase. We can't do much about aging. However, as we can see, all these other factors here, they are all going to also affect our health, but we can do things about them. So they are modifiable. So again, there's a whole lot as far as intervention is concerned for us to do to really address some of these modifiable factors in the communities to be able to improve people's health and also to educate people to learn how things like lifestyle factors can either compromise their health or improve their health. So determinants of health, there are many. There are biological factors, environmental factors, and lifestyle factors that can affect health. Okay, so now let's focus a little bit more about social determinants of health. This is now getting more popularity because it's an aspect of the environmental factors that really have huge impact on health. So what do we mean by the social determinants of health? Well, conditions in the environment in which people are born, they live, they learn, they work, they play, they worship, and age affects a wide range of health. So we want to always make sure we are capturing uh, these differences that may be existing among people because of maybe the economic status, the educational level, and the neighborhood that they live, for instance. They all contribute to affect people. So Healthy People 2030, they have organized this social determinant of health into 5 domains to really monitor and track and see they can bridge health disparities. All right, so I provided a video, and the video really explain uh, and elaborate better for us. So I want you to watch that video for sake of time. This is a lot to say on the slide here. So I want the video to come in to sort of explain things. And I want you to really pay attention and watch that video and let's learn, because we have a discussion board that we are going to be able to talk about how social factors affect health. All right, so what about the social determinants, its effect on nutritional status? So nutritional status is very important measure for us to assess a person's health status. So educational attainment, for instance, influence nutrition through multiple pathways. So people's education will also determine their nutritional knowledge, their income levels, and access to health promoting resources. Food access will extend beyond geographic proximity, and it's include more the quality of the foods, the affordability, and practical accessibility of nutritious food options. So again, people living in food desert compared to people who have access to grocery foods, for instance, their nutritional status, when you do assessment, you will definitely find differences. And economic factors affect both the food purchasing powers and also resources available for food preparation and storage. Culture influence has influence at the individual, family, and community levels, and culture helps to shape the food preferences and eating patterns of people. So again, looking at culture, we are able to tell how it's affecting nutritional status. And lastly, the social support networks and then the community structures impact food choices, eating behaviors through shared norms and practices. So, social determinant factors have direct impact on nutritional status of the populations and also communities. So we got to really, again, pay attention to the social determinants of health. All right, determinants of food choice is also very important for us to consider because what people are eating is what is affecting their health. So there is a very complex, we all know eating episode is very complex. There's a number of factors that will make a person choose a particular food over the other. So these are some six key determinants that have been studied. Obviously, we all know biology weighs in. So we feel hungry, we have appetite, and that helps us to choose the foods that we eat. But we can now know that mostly the taste of food is driving a lot of food consumption. So people eating the high sugar, high fat food because it tastes better, and that has been one of the reasons why most people are living with a lot of these diet-related conditions. So yes, naturally we hunger, we have appetite, and now more taste is also driving our intake. So we got to consider that. Economics, as we have highlighted as a factor, even in the social determinants, it's also going to make people eat or choose certain foods over the other. People who are highly resourced, they have their high income, obviously have money to buy fresh fruits, vegetables, more of those, to as opposed to those who don't have. And as we know, when people don't have money, what do they normally do? They are always going to buy the cheap foods, which are normally not nutritious. There are physical determinants to food choices. We choose food based of its being accessible in our community or in our neighborhoods, our knowledge, and then also the skills. If are we able to prepare healthy foods? Do we know that? And also, lastly, time. Time is now one of the main things affecting the people because we don't have time. People are eating anyhow, falling on ready to eat meals, and that is always having linked to a lot of the chronic conditions onset. Again, as we have highlighted, the social determinants, there's a class, culture, and then the context, social context where people are selecting foods makes it bring disparity. So again, we vary based off our social status. Psychological determinants, mood. Again, people feeling stress, anxiety. We know the kinds of food they normally will eat, and those who are sad. So emotional eating again is also driving a lot of their not healthy eating. And lastly, our beliefs and our knowledge and attitudes, they also affect a person choosing food. So if a person believe maybe it's not what they eat that affects their health, and some people don't believe. Again, people like faith-based people, they believe diseases are maybe the origin of diseases is more due to maybe spiritual origin, so they don't care about maybe what they eat. Again, so all these different factors, they interplay, and they are making people or individual in the community choose their food. So we got to find a way to determine when we are doing assessment. It's also crucial for us to determine some of the thinking of the people to really help them to see if we can direct them to choose wisely and then also healthy. Okay, so just to review and to put it all together, again, the relationship between social determinants and eating behaviors. So, as we have highlighted, our eating behaviors are really influenced by our social factors. So, first of all, if you think about socioeconomic status, lower income often means less money available for food. And therefore, what happens is people who in this category will be purchasing the junk foods, and they are obviously that's affecting health. Education impacts nutrition knowledge, preparation skills, and health literacy. Food access and food environments, again, whatever is available in the community is what the people are going to be consuming. So the physical and the economic access to food will significantly shape the dietary choices. Social networks and eating patterns. Again, we can think about family eating patterns, school that are established in things established in childhood can always persist to adulthood. So it's very important that the families, again, parent to model a healthy, following healthy patterns so that the children will learn. As children grow, peer influences in schools, especially teenagers, that's also affecting their food preferences and their eating behaviors. Culture and diet, again, cultural food practices that are available in a particular community can have both positive and negative impact. So some of the cultures, the kinds of food that they choose, we know increase the risk for chronic conditions. And other cultures too, some of the foods are going to also promote health. So depending on a person's culture, it can affect or it can harm them. So this is just to summarize again, put it all together nicely here for us to be able to pick each of these factors and again have understanding to explain how that factor connect to a person's food choice and then also their behaviors. Okay, so let's elaborate a little bit more about the psychological impact on eating behaviors or food access, food choice. So we know emotional eating is becoming more prevalent. So what do you think is causing people to uh, eat to just comfort themselves? As we all know, stress. As stress is increasing, people are eating just to use food as a ways to comfort themselves, and that we know has a lot of negative consequence. So normally stress affect a person through either psychological or physiological pathway or mechanisms. And that way, when a person is stressed, they tend to want to either overeat some of the unhealthy foods, the sweets, the high fat foods, and that way it brings comfort. Some or others also may also be uh, doing the opposite, where they are also not eating, and that can also lead to malnutrition. Another aspect is also how people perceive themselves, body image. So, people being too overly concerned about their body image can make them not eat adequately, and that can also lead to malnutrition. We also know self-efficacy and motivation levels are connected to our psychology. So if a person is, let's say, stressed, they lack the motivation to even want to prepare healthy foods or be able to engage in, eating adequately, and that could also lead to them to have distorted eating patterns. And lastly, for us to know that the social and environmental factors can interact with psychological factors to influence eating behaviors. So there's a lot of interactions that's going on, and psychology is very important. So that's why people having any anxiety or stress, we need to always assess, for instance, and then be able to provide coping strategies for people so that they are able to feel healthy and be able to eat healthy. As mentioned before, environmental factors have huge impact on communities and also the health of individuals in the community. So I just want us to hone in a little bit on the environmental influence on food access and nutrition. So I want us to think about what we refer to as the built environments characteristics. So these built environment is describing the layout, the design of a community's building, streets, sidewalks, infrastructure, and also it also highlights the spaces and places where people get to live, learn, work, play, and recreate. And as we all know, all these factors are able to shape daily experiences of people, individuals in the community, and that can impact their health through physically, their mental, their social well-being. For instance, food distribution, for instance, and transportation, for example, will shape food access. So built environment has the potential to impact food access. We also can think about marketing and advertising. As we all know, there's a whole lot of food advertising, and most of these advertising impact really geared towards children, for instance, and they are all going to influence uh, food purchasing decisions and then also food preferences. We can highlight digital environment a whole lot. We'll talk a little bit more about that now with social media, online food, ordering systems. All these are creating influence on eating patterns. Climate, so we cannot also ignore the impact of climate. Having access and making fresh and fruit, vegetables all available yearly. It's always going to dependent on the climate and the season of the that seasons that are happening in the community. Again, the physical layout, as we have highlighted, all have opportunity to uh, influence access to individuals having healthy eating um, patterns. All right, so what about the actual food community environment and how that affects health outcomes? So just to summarize again, we have highlighted food distribution and whatever is available in the community is definitely is what people are going to be consuming. So that determines dietary choices. We also know that quality and variety of available foods within the retail outlets, they also vary. So different communities, some of the food that are available to them, it may not be healthy. So people who live in high class, as I said, society, they are able to have superstores, grocery foods, and then they have access to the quality fresh foods, for instance. Whilst people living in maybe the ghettos and other places, low income neighborhoods, they tend to also have access to more convenience foods, the junk foods. Pricing again within environment also differs, and that affects people's purchasing decisions. So, and that can also affect the overall quality of the people's style across the populations, transportation, and also working patterns all interact to affect people's accessibility to having healthy foods or retail outlets. And lastly, we can say that both community food environment, they create complex systems that affect both immediate food choice and then also the long-term health outcome. So the food environment has impact to really, again, least cause some neighborhoods to have prevalence of chronic conditions, for instance, just because of where people live, we know can determine the incidence, the prevalence of some of these chronic diseases. So yes, we need to be aware and also intervene as much as possible. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about how digital technology are impacting dietary behavior. So just a little quick summary here. So as we all know, social media has become very popular and most people are running by the social media platforms to read a lot about nutrition and then to search for a lot of information about recipes and all that. So the content influence food choice. Okay, social media content had the potential to influence food choice, peer sharing, and then also the fact that there are things that may be trendy, and we all know that people want to go with what is popular, and so that can determine individuals' eating patterns. Social media has impact. Mobile tracking systems, again, they helps us to get real-time opportunity to monitor what people are eating, so that is helpful for assessment, for instance, to now to be using some of these tools to be able to get people to uh, monitor what they are eating, and that creates awareness and then let them know eating about their eating patterns. Online ordering system, very important part that is also affecting the accessibility. Okay, so we know that it's easier for people just to order food rather than preparing their own foods, and it's becoming more popular. So again, we know that it has the potential to affect meal timing, so people can eat anytime. So again, if at night time people are ordering food and eating, and that could also affect the choices and patterns of people are making. So ordering system is really huge. Again, it's come to help to create help convenience, but if people are not well educated, it's going to affect their health. Lastly, again, we all know digital food marketing. There are now channels that are advertising, educating people, and we know some of this information in not the best. However, it's there and people are reading. So it has the potential to affect dietary decisions and preferences. So again, we need to look closely and be able to capture all these ways digitally it's affecting people's choices and then also how food are becoming accessible to people in the community. All right, so far we have highlighted the impact of the environment, on food choices, and then also food accessibility. So we have highlighted the social determinants of health and how that may affect even people's, individuals' food choice. We have highlighted the food environment itself that is available in different communities, so low income and then maybe high income. And we also highlighted the physical infrastructure, the physical environment impact. So we are definitely seeing that, yes, there are some areas that needs us to address, coming up with intervention to address the gaps so that we are able to bridge these health disparities and then improve people's health. So what are we going to be doing? Again, we're going to talk more about food assistance programs next week. But we know that food assistance programs, their goal is to help people who are low income and they are eligible to be able to get assistance. So we're going to learn all the different programs, but the food assistance programs normally helps to bring some guidelines. There are certain foods that people can buy or not buy when they follow the receive food assistance programs. And so that way it is guiding and making people choose the right foods and also get access to healthy foods all the time. School policies can also help. We need school policies to help have immediate nutritional and also long-term eating habits among children and adolescents. So we know children, adolescents, they spend most of the time in schools. It's helpful for them to follow or have access to healthy foods and also build healthy food choice habits. Agricultural policies and also definitely needed. We need a lot of subsidies to promote, for instance, fresh fruits, vegetables growth so that we can get more and then the pricing could be reduced for all to be able to afford. So agricultural policies are very helpful. Again, local food regulations can also need to be able to help communities be able to have accessible food all the time. And as we know, if you're able to engage in policy interventions, it creates the framework for which individual and community nutrition behaviors are going to develop. So policy is very important in community nutrition, and it helps us to address a lot of the nutrition problems that are in the communities.